What? So early.
Okay.
What time do you get up? To go away. That's weird. Our son and daughter were just left. They moved.
Who's that?
Honey. Hein. He's going back to help that his cousin had passed away before 20 years old. He was working with him. So his whole person went down, the widow and everything. He's going to help them. So it's about mitzvah. Yeah.
Okay, today we're gonna start the new parak. Shoshana Chesapara. Thank Hashem that they're able to learn Torah every day. For learning, we should have this immediately. Okay. Shoshana Chesapara v'nimtzu b'tzida. Happened here is that you have an ox that gores a cow. The cow, an ox is also a type of cow, but the ox is the male and the cow is the female. So it gores the cow, the ox gores the cow, and you see on the side of the cow, we see afterwards.
Okay.
We see on the side of it, we see the fetus. See the baby cow, the baby calf. It's on the side. Well, so the shor should have to pay. First of all, the cow is dead, and fetus is dead. Should have to pay for both. But when you do a much like we don't have it clear if the fetus was born after the goring or if it was before the goring. Could be that it died anyway. It came out dead. And then it comes along the ox and gores the cow and has nothing to do with the fetus. The dead fetus has nothing to do with the ox. So
it's just that it doesn't have any gore marks.
Right. Has punch marks maybe because it was inside the womb, but you can't see the horn going through the fetus. So Mishalim Chatzi Nezik Lapara. Talking about the ox was a tam, so he only has to pay half the price. So he pays half price for the cow because that's 100% what his damage was. But Ravia Nezik Vlad, but he only has to pay a quarter of the damage, which is a half of a half. You really have to pay half damage for the blood as well, but we're not sure if he caused the damage, so we make him only pay a quarter of it. Yeah. Remember, I went to this Jewish community center in Wilkes-Barre. I worked there like 25 years ago or something. But anyway, in there was a coach in the Jewish community center. So he's talking to the other coach, and I walked in. So the one coach says, "I thought you went to yeshiva." Tells the other coach, one was Jewish, one Muslim. So I thought you went to yeshiva. He said, "I went to yeshiva. Yeah, I learned in Chaim Berlin, Rav Hutner." He says, wasn't religious at all. He said, "What did you study there?" He said, "We studied about two men that were holding on to a talus. This one says it's mine. That one says it's mine, and that's what we studied." So he says, "What happens?" He said, "You do what King Solomon did. You just cut it in half. That's the whole thing. You just cut everything in half." Anyway, so that's what we have here again. We have just cut it in half. Be an ethic. Yeah, it's not so simple. Let's see. Same as if it's the opposite. You have the cow that gores the ox. An aggressive mother cow gores the ox. And we take a look at the ox. The ox is dead. We take a look at the cow, and there's a fetus right next to the cow on the side. So Bain Yadua, and we don't know.
But the cow's alive.
Cow's alive, the fetus is alive. Now, what's the issue? We don't know if it gave birth before the goring, And Mishnah Kiyalda, if it gave birth after the goring. So was the fetus part of the perpetration, part of the damager at the time of the goring? Simply put, I mean, the Gemara is going to go through this, but simply put, if the Tom has to pay migufa from the animal itself, can I use the fetus as part of the payment? That's going to be the one of the ways, at least in the Gemara.
Why would the fetus die here? Because it have its mother, and so therefore.
It doesn't say the fetus died here. Just as the fetus is born. Fetus is on the side. Oh, you're talking about the first case?
Yeah, I just got in.
In the first case. The first case, we don't know why it died. It happens. The fetus dies.
Yeah, without its mother.
Yeah. So, mishtalim, the halacha is mishtalim chatzi nezek min hapara. Half the nezek you take from the cow, which is what it's supposed to get. And a revi'ah nezek min havlad, and a quarter of the nezek you take from the vlad. Now, there's a slight problem here, because you're not supposed to be taking a half plus a quarter. You're only supposed to be getting paid half. So here it looks like he's getting paid a little bit too much. So we have to see in the Gemara how that's going to work. Okay, in the first case, we didn't have that problem. In the first case, we said he's causing damage. He's paying half the damage, and then he's paying another quarter of the damage for the vlad. But that was what he owed. Over here, he's only owed half the damage. Can't be getting a half plus another quarter.
Here's what the other person is meant to receive.
Right.
That's
Okay, so I'm Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel. Rav Yehuda is a student of Shmuel. Shmuel is a first generation Amira. Comes along Rav Yehuda and quotes Shmuel. He says, Zu Divrei Simchas. This Mishnah, this famous Mishnah that we have, an ox that gores a cow. This Mishnah is the words of Simchas. And Simchas is a student of Reb Meir. And not everyone holds like him. He holds Damar Maman Amutal B'Safek Chalk. He holds that when there's a doubt, you just divide it. Now, why should you divide everything that's in a doubt? It's only certain types of doubts. It's only a doubt where you don't really have a real muhsik. It's a type of doubt that in other words, even if without anyone claiming anything, the doubt is here in reality. The doubt is here. It exists, the doubt. It's not that you're claiming, you have a claim and then this, and then because of that claim, and forget the claims, right? We look at the situation, at the scenario, and we ourselves have a doubt. Even if no one opens their mouth, we have a doubt. We don't know what's going on. So because of that, there's already it loses the strength of the chazaka that each one has on the money. Yeah. Otherwise, it's very hard to explain this. Chachamim say this is the great rule in it's called jurisprudence in court. That the one that's trying to extract money, he's the one that has to bring the proof. So over here, what would we say?
if
the guy wants to be paid for the fetus, so you're going to have to prove that I damaged the fetus. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I'm not paying until you can prove it. Right? And then the same with the other way. The guy's trying to get paid from the fetus. Right? The guy's going to say, maybe the fetus caused damage, I don't know, but you're not taking any money until you can prove it.
Could have been a miscarriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You would need two witnesses.
Yeah.
That would be
the
the proof. Two witnesses or a ring camera.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Video.
When one car hits another car, it just touches the fender. The guy who was hit says, "Oh, you hurt my back and hurt my head and everything. I sue you for $1 million."
Right.
What's the proof? The burden is on the person who wants to collect the money.
Yeah.
goes to a doctor and he gets certified by his friend.
Right.
That's a set.
And then they split the money.
They read this.
Yeah.
And they said it's a prior condition.
What is that?
Then the other one said it's a prior condition. It wasn't.
Oh, it's a prior condition.
by the-
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, someone told me the Rebbe said that everyone should do everything they can. It's something. Anyway, he was crossing the street, and the car didn't stop at the light, and so he fell down, and he starts to get up to walk away, and then he realizes that 1 second. The Rebbe said that I should have to do everything. He laid back down on the floor. He waits for the insurance for the in his head. That's what he thought. Like I don't know. It's not what he meant. L'chaira. So anyway, so the Chachamim say Zeh klal gadol badin. Amitzi mechaber al avarai. If you want to extract money, you have to prove it. Lama li lameimar Zeh klal gadol badin. What's that extra expression that Shmuel is saying? This is the great rule of law. Says Yitzchak. He has to say that. Because the filu nizakai mabari mazakai mashema amitzi mechaber al avarai. The nizik is the victim. The mazik is the perpetrator. So the nizik over here, the victim, is the plaintiff. He's the one that's claiming you owe me money because it caused me damage. The mazik is the defendant. So the nizik over here, the plaintiff says it's 100% your fault. It's you owe me the money, and here it would be in the first case, it would be the owner of the cow is telling the owner of the ox, you killed it. I was there. I was watching. You pay me the money. The mazik says, I actually don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Could be you're right. Could be not. So the rule is, even though the plaintiff is claiming that, what are you talking about? I'm 100% positive that you owe me the money, and the defendant says maybe. He agrees partially. He says could be. I don't know. Still, it says he's saying could be, but I'm not paying you until you can prove it. Even though your claim is 100% definite, but I'm not paying you until you have proof.
You can't prove a negative.
It's not that you can't prove the negative. It's that you want money, and you don't have any proof.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just saying that until you prove it, I'm not paying. The guy's telling him, but you don't even know for sure. You don't even know for sure. I am for sure. Says, well, nevertheless, I don't know. Could be. That's what we're learning from Zeh klal gadol badin. That even when the odds are not following this, nevertheless, we still say Hamitz Mechaber Baraya.
It's definitely more.
If it was a muad. But actually, it doesn't matter if it's a muad or a tam, because it has to do with timing. When did it go or when not? Muad doesn't make it that it got it before or after. Talking about when was the fetus? When did the fetus come out?
Because of or just natural?
Right? The muad, tam or muad wouldn't change that. It has to do with the timing of it.
Go to a farmhouse.
What does that have to do? Because
Like,
there's a damage. No, the first case is that there's a cow that got gored, and there's a dead fetus on the side.
Right.
The question is, was it part of the accident? Was the death fetus part of the accident because it got gored? Or was it just that it had a miscarriage, which that happens all the time?
Sometimes for the car accidents, the insurance will ask for prior pictures of the car to make sure like it didn't have damage before.
Right.
The accident.
That makes sense. Okay, inami lechiha di'itmar, or else it could be that it's following another statement over here, which is also a machlekes Rav and Shmuel. And according to Shmuel, it's going to be very clear what this means. It says like this. Someone sells an ox, and the money was given. And the person's supposed to go pick up the ox. He already paid for it. He goes to get the ox. And it turns out, and on his way home, he's trying to put the yoke on it, and it starts goring everyone. It's not you can't put the yoke on the ox like this. So yeah, I forget what the Tanya quotes the Zayar.
Where's a Cohen when you need one? They used to take the
It-
base of Mikdash. They would
quotes
grab
the
them. They
Zayar
were the
that,
cab.
delay makabel. If it didn't get the yoke when it was young, then it's too late. Remember there's a quote like that in Tanya. So anyway, Rav Amar. So Rav says, Rav says that the person that already the seller has to return the money, take the ox back. Shmuel Amar. Shmuel says, Yachol sheyomerlai. The seller can tell the purchaser, l'shchita mecharta blach. I sold it to you because I thought you needed meat. I thought you had a party coming up, and this was the animal course that you were. This is the main course. So the Gemara says, "Amai." Why is that? Let's take a look. Are we talking about a farmer here? Are we talking about a butcher? If he's a farmer, then he needed the ox to plow. If he's a butcher, then he needed it because he sells meat. So why don't we just see what type of apron the guy's wearing? So it says he's a farmer that happens to be a butcher. He buys for both.
Oh, he flips it. Wants to flip it, maybe.
So he could do this or that. We have no proof just looking at the fellow
Right.
to tell us what was this purchase for. The next say, let's take a look. We have an assumption over here that an animal that's going to be used as a machine to plow is going to be more expensive than an animal that's just going to be for meat. Let's take a look how much he paid. Did he pay for a machine, or did he pay for a dinner? So what was for a barbecue? It says we're talking about that this time the price of meat had gone up to the same price as the price to have an animal that could plow. So we can't prove it any way or the other. Umar says, Amri, say, he goes to the guy, according to Rav, he goes to the guy and he says, you owe me the money, give me the money back, because Rav says that it's considered a mekach tois. It's a invalid sale because you sold me something that wasn't what I wanted. I purchased an animal to plow, and you sold me an animal that you can't plow it.
You gave me meat.
He gave me meat. So he goes to him, and he says, give me the money back. So the Gemara says like this, let's say the guy says, I don't have any money. I'm very sorry. I spent the money right away, right when you gave it to me. I had debts, whatever. But why don't you just take the ox that I sold you? Remember we said in the Gemara that it was talking about a case where it's the exact same price. Meat is the same price for this so it's exactly the price that you want. So why don't you just take what you purchased and sell it? Because that's what you would do when I don't have money. If I would owe you money, you would just take one of my properties, things or whatever, and you would sell it. So lishkale latura, take the ox, bezuzi for the money, damri inshi. Because people say, Mimari Rashvasach Pari Efra. How do they translate that? From the owner of
Para?
Yeah, well, Pari Efra. What does it say?
Were paid by your debtors.
Yeah, what's it say before that? Take the
ox itself in lieu of the money.
Yeah. What is it?
One.
Mimari Rashvasach. What is the word Rashvasach?
Sounds like it means debtor. From
the
those
one
that
who
you have debt from.
Collect even Brian. Hare Ipra. Pare must mean the Brian, and Ifra means payment. From the one who is in your debt. Rashvasach must mean your debt. Take a look over here what it says. Exactly the same Gemara. Very good. Hillel saying that this Gemara reminds him of another Gemara where someone bought a jug and bought a barrel and they gave him a pitcher. It's exactly the same Gemara, same discussion. Over there was also Shmuel. Yeah. And the Gemara says, yeah, it's the beginning of the third chapter.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Very good. So the Gemara says, Leitricha, no, it's necessary. Talking about that the fellow has money. You're right. If the guy didn't have money, then this whole point would be a mute point because he says, "Oh, you want your money back? Okay, take the animal that you bought and just keep that." And then there's no money. There's no return. Right? Imagine you go to the store to return something, and they say, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Just keep it. I will keep the money, and you keep the item, and so don't worry, you have it." That's basically no return. So what would be the whole point of Rav saying it's a mekach tais? We're talking about where the guy does have money. So when he comes back to return the ox, the guy has to give him the cash, and he takes the ox back. Rav Amar is a mekach tais. Rav says that it's considered an invalid sale zil basaruba. You have to follow the majority. Most people don't buy meat don't buy animals for the meat. They buy animals for work. Shmuel says Shmuel says that the seller can say, I sold it to you because I thought you needed a barbecue. The lo yaslina basaruba, and we don't follow the majority. Ki yaslina basaruba, when would we follow the majority? Be surah. That's only with other types of laws, ritual laws and other things. Aval b'mamayna, but when it comes to monetary things, lo yaslina basaruba, you don't follow the majority. You have to follow the one that brings the proof.
So
since over here, who has the money? Who's holding on to the money? The seller has the money. The purchaser is trying to get the money out of him. So he says, the sale is already done. You're trying to extract money from me now. I should give it to you. That you're gonna have to prove. So he says, 1 second, I have Roiv that's proving. Then I have majority, that's enough proof. So the purchaser says, I know that you have a majority, but I have a minority. And together with the minority, I also have the money in my pocket. So the minority, money in my pocket, is stronger than your majority without the money.
What is the majority again?
Majority is that most people buy oxen for work.
So Chachamim, the Rabbanan are like Shmuel.
That quote that we had, that Zeklal Gadol Badin is Shmuel's statement.
Yeah.
What would Rab say about our Mishnah? The same thing. Rab would say that Tamayt Mechaver Varaya. Rav, the Machlekes Rav and Shmuel over here, it's only a Machlekes. What does the majority do in a monetary case? According to Rav, the majority can kick in and become have a definitive say. And according to Shmuel, when it comes to majority in a monetary case, each person can say, majority just tells me what the situation may be, but I'm telling you that it's not like that. So it's just a statistic. Statistic doesn't prove who I am. I sold it to you thinking that this is what it was, and that was my assumption. So you're trying to prove who I am based on a statistic. Statistic just says what the rest of the world is, doesn't tell me what I am. Okay.
Question about oxen. Maybe I lost it a few months ago. A cow is a cow, a female that gives milk usually in English. And an ox, I'm sure what an ox is, because it sounds to me like an ox here is just a bull as opposed to a cow.
Yeah,
right?
I think also the ox is younger than at least in the Torah. An ox is in its second year, and a cow is in its third year.
But is an ox a female also? It's only a male.
No, I think it's just male.
Okay, so then when you see these pictures of dairies today, they don't have any horns. So I thought that a female, that a cow, is born without horns. And boy, bull has horns because they use them
Right.
to fight. But well, that's not true because they take the horns off. But we don't see cows with horns in America because
Took it off.
they get off. It's too dangerous. But apparently here they leave the
It would
the
have could have
horns
been
on
left
both
on.
boys and girls.
Uh-huh.
The
And-
cows have small horns.
Okay, but in modern language, an ox is a castrated bull only. That's why they're so timid. Like a kid go up and pet an ox, that works. I've worked with oxen. So they use oxen. They have horns. No, probably take the horns off too. Yeah, they don't have horns either
Uh-huh.
because they take them off and you put a little chemical on it. And the animal's okay.
Stops growing.
This goring business is. So my question here is that A, they don't take the horns off anybody, and they don't castrate anybody. Is that correct?
That's what it seems. Right.
Prohibited for us.
Right. But I think that's a modern term that oxen have to do with if it's castrated or not. That's not in over here. Sure, that has nothing to do with that. I don't
Says
know.
here it's male,
I think
oxen
it
are
could
male
be.
and cows are female. Female both the early trans
Yeah, that's all right, but he's
Male.
castrated as an ox.
I'm not sure.
Like in Cuba, they
I'm
use
not sure.
oxen.
They're
I
also
thought a
maybe.
shore was bigger than a par.
I don't think
They
so.
have horns.
Same thing.
think the
Shore and par are
shore-
the same thing.
I think a shore was the second year and a
Right,
par is the
nice.
third year. I think at least
Third
in
year, okay.
biblical Hebrew.
The
Got it.
rope
And then there was an egel, shore, and par. Egel is within the first year, like before its first birthday. The shore was from first to second, nursery school, and and then the par was from its third year.
So a para,
And a para was the same. Was in the third year. Was the bigger one. That's what I understood. Okay, Tanya Namihachi was also taught in a brisa. Shoshanagachas a para v'nimtzu b'betzida. An ox gores a cow, and the fetus is on the side, dead. Then you do we don't know when it died. Did it die just because a miscarriage? Because it saw the ox running towards it, quickly had a miscarriage and died. Or if it got actually gored, anyway, follow. Chachamim say here we have Shmuel's statement that entire Mishnah was just the words of Sumchas, that you have to pay half. In a doubt, that's Sumchas' opinion, but the Chachamim say that if you want to extract money, then you have to have some proof. You can't just say, well, just divide it in half. Amar Shmuel bar Nachmani. Shmuel bar Nachmani says, how do you know that this is the fact that if you want to extract money, you have to have proof? It would seem logical, as the Gemara is going to say, because otherwise that would be chaotic. Everyone would say, I think you owe me money. So, okay, I guess I have to pay. And so I think you owe me the money back. You say, okay, I guess I have to pay. So, Shnemar, as it says, Mi baldvarim yigash alayim. Whoever has any matter should come close to them. This is Moshe telling the people that they should go to the elders. Yigash raya alayim. He says they should come close. It means yagish. They should bring a proof to them in order to collect whatever claim they have. So that's what we're learning over here, that we have a pasuk that says they have to bring a proof. Maskafla Rabashi, Rashi says, Halamali Kras Varu. What do we need a pasuk? It's logical. The Torah doesn't have to tell me things that are perfectly logical. Why? Why not? Maybe the Torah has to tell me things that are logical also. The reason is because the Eibishter speaks to us in many ways. And one of the ways that he talks to us is in the Torah. One of the ways he talks to us is through our common sense. So if it's common sense, you don't need a pasuk. So Svaru, the koyev lekaya v'asal lebeasya. If someone has a pain, he goes to the doctor. That's it's as logical as that. That's what the Gemara means. Torah doesn't have to tell you that if you have a pain that to go to the doctor. That's right. It doesn't say in the well, actually, it actually says in the Torah that the doctor has permission to heal. But for the person, what he's supposed to do if he has pain? So that's perfectly logical. So Ella Kra look at the Rab Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. The pasuk is coming to teach me what Rab Nachman says. The name of Rabba Baravua, it's his father-in-law. It says Amar Rab Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. Minayin shein niskakan el tevei tchila. Now we're talking about a complex case. What happens is someone comes to court, roofing comes to court. He says, Shimon, you borrowed money from me. You never paid me back. So Shimon says, yeah, you know why I never paid you back? Because you also have something of mine that is also worth a certain amount of money. You never gave that back to me, so I'm not. So a case that started like a simple you owe me $100 now becomes this very complex case with a history of this. So Rab Nachman says, name of Rabba Baravua. For 1 second, you had a claim he owes you $100. Pay the $100. We'll deal with your claim that some item that you had given him once, and that we'll deal with that right afterwards. So let's deal first with what the plaintiff is saying. You owe $100. Okay. Shenemar, how do we know that that's the case? Not sure exactly how he learns it from that, but it says whoever has a claim should bring his words up, which I guess it means one at a time. So we'll deal with the first claim first. Amri Nardai says it's actually not so clear what Rav Nachman is saying in the name of Rabbi Baravua, because there are certain cases where we don't do this. Sometimes you have to listen to the defendant first. Why? Because he's claiming that he had a certain item that the other person's holding, and it could be that right now there's a fear going on, and if I could sell that right now, I'll make the money, right? Because once the fear is over, then I'm going to lose the money. So we listen to the defendant first, so that there shouldn't be a loss of money. What would that case be? Because if the value is going to drop very shortly of that property, so then we would take care of the nitva of the defendant's claim first before we would take the plaintiff's claim, because to make sure that there's no loss. Okay. Now the Gemara goes back to discuss something that seemed very not correct in the Mishnah, unjust in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, if a cow gores the ox, and the rule was, what happened was we took a look afterwards and we see the ox is dead, but we see that there's a fetus standing on the side of the cow. Now, do we want to know, is the fetus part of the damage or not? But part of the damaging party. So what we did was we said we take half a payment from the cow. So Tom, we take another quarter from the fetus. The Gemara asks, Chatzi nesek or Ravia nesek? You're taking a half plus a quarter. Palganisku de He was only supposed to pay half. Kulaniska nakiriva maya vidite. What's he doing with the full payment minus a quarter? 3/4. A half plus a quarter. What's he doing with the full payment minus a quarter, which means 3/4? Amar Abaya says, Chatzi nesek, when it says half payment, it doesn't really mean half payment. Half payment means echad me'arba b'nesek. It means one of four. It means a quarter of a payment. Half of a half. Ravia nezek, and when it says that he takes a quarter payment, you know what it really means? Echad mishmeina b'nesek, 1/8. Which means he's not really getting half plus a quarter. He's not getting 3/4. He's getting an eighth. He's getting a quarter plus an eighth, which is 3/8. He's getting 3/8. A little bit less than half. He's getting 3/8. Huh? He's getting 3/8.
That's a shot. I thought I just meant like if necessary, you take from the fetus.
Yeah, that's what the Gemara is going to say soon.
Oh,
Yeah. Right now, this is where all
sorry.
Also with people who damage like a woman who has
a miscarriage because of a fight. What do we say in the Torah? If two men were fighting They have to pay for the one of them hits the woman and she has a miscarriage. She has to pay for the children.
But there's no such idea of a quarter of
No,
value.
no. That's only by an ox. The ox is only. Yeah, it's a good point. Para uvlad dechadnino. Just 1 second. If the owner of the cow is the same one that owns the fetus, the person can tell the owner of the ox that's now dead, the victim can now tell to the owner of the cow, says, I don't know anything what you're talking about. I know you're the owner of this truck, or this damaging party. However you want to pay me half, just pay me half, right? That's Ella, like Tzricha, we're talking about that case over here, the part of the Chad, the Vlad the Chad. Talking about that the guy probably sold, either he sold the cow and keeps the fetus for himself, or he sells the fetus, keeps the cow for himself. He says that I'm selling you the fetus before it's born. Or maybe he sells the cow and he keeps the fetus. And now there's two owners that are causing damage. So he goes, the victim over here shows up by the cow, owner of the cow. Reuven owns the cow, Shimon owns the fetus, let's say. Shows up by Reuven, he says, pay me. And Reuven says, I just want you to know that I have a partner in crime here. I'll pay half, but you got to get the other half from the other guy. He goes to the other guy, he goes to Shimon. Shimon says, I don't even know if I'm really a partner in crime. It could be that my fetus was born before the damage. If it was born after the damage, then fine, then I was a partner. But it could be that I was born before. Okay, I'll give you half. Simchas, I'll give you half. So I'll give you not a quarter, I'll give you an eighth. That's what it seems to be. If he goes and he claims from the owner of the owner of the cow first, so too, so it will be Darmalela Balapara. Paradidach as Kasan, Abdirai this Shutfi. You could tell him like this. He says, look, I don't know anything about this fetus. I know that it was your cow. It wasn't the fetus alone, that's clear. It was your cow. If you think that you have a partner in crime, so you figure that out with your partner. But I know that your cow did the damage. Ella must be the Kadam Tavid Labal Vlad Tchila. He goes to the owner of the fetus first. Damalei, because then he tells the owner of the cow tells to him, Galisa daitach teshut fisli. You yourself admitted that I have a partner. Why did you try to get money from the owner of the fetus, from Shimon? It must be that you recognize that I wasn't the only one here that did this damage. So if that's the case, so you yourself admitted to that. So I'll pay half. Half of half.
Half of half, and you'll get both.
And you'll get half of half from each. But it turns out when he goes to Shimon to get half the half, Shimon says, I don't know if I was really part of this, so I'm only going to give you an eighth. So he ends up with
Less.
3/8, right? Instead of 4/8, which is a half.
This is different than the culture with partners. We spoke about last week.
Remind me.
It was, they had to pick over, but the damaging party was two partners, and then they said like half and half. It would be like a whole, and then but the party was only supposed to receive half, and then it couldn't be divided. Oh no, it's over there was for the atonement of each person. And it was
Right.
Something else. Okay, so Ikadamri, those that say that it actually doesn't matter. We made a distinction in this Gemara that it depends who he goes to claim the money first. Because if he claims from the Balapara first, then the Balapara can say, no, he's going to tell the Balapara. He's going to say, look, I don't know if there's a partner. You're telling me this, you have a partner here. All I know is that your animal did the damage, pay up. So some say that that's a good claim, but some say everyone knows that I have a partner. Just because you're coming to claim me first, that's only because you came to me first. You can't come to both of us at the same time. But you know that I have a partner, and I'm only going to pay half. Could be according to this Ikadamri that he can actually tell them that. Tell the owner of the ox. Amarava. Rava, Daniel, Rava has a claim. Rava says, "Atu echad mi'arba b'nezek v'echad b'shmenim b'nezek katani." It's telling Abaya. Abaya, you're making up this whole pshat in the Mishnah that when it says half, it really means a quarter, and when it says a quarter, it really means an eighth. It says that's not what it says in the Mishnah. Kachatzi nezek revi nezek katani. It says half and it says a quarter. It doesn't say a quarter and an eighth. Elam Rava says you got the pshat wrong. Lo'ilam bepara uvlad echad. We're talking about there's one person that owns the cow. It's the same person owns the fetus. Bachi kamrinan, and he's telling him like this: Isa lepara. If the cow is still here, it exists. It wasn't damage to the cow. The cow is still here. So good. I'll pay half the damage from the para, which has a lot of value, and I can get out because you have to pay me gufa. I have to get from the cow itself half the damage, which I could do. Less the lepara. Let's say for whatever reason the cow isn't here. So mishtalim revia nezek mivlad. You're trying to get the damages from the fetus. That isn't. I don't necessarily owe it to you from the fetus because it could be the fetus wasn't part of the damage. So therefore, I'm only going to pay you half from the fetus. If I have the cow, I'd pay directly half from the cow. But if the cow isn't here and you're trying to extract payment from the fetus because the Tom has to pay from the damaging animal itself.
Can't you just give him any personal fee and he could exchange it?
He can, but he doesn't have to. And he could say, even if the damaging animal is not worth half, it's only worth, let's say, a third or a quarter. The perpetrator says, I'll take whatever I have to give you, but more than that, I'm not paying. So over here, he has a fetus there, but he's saying, I'm not paying from the fetus because I don't really know that the fetus did the damage. I'll only pay half of what the damage would be, which is a quarter. What's the reason why he's getting away with only paying a quarter of the fetus? Is because it's unclear if the fetus was part of the whole damage, part of the damaging party. But if we know that the fetus was there inside the mother when it was causing the damage, when it caused the damage, then he would have to pay from the vlad. The Gemara says that's very interesting because Rabba Latameh, this is exactly Rabba's opinion. That if a cow causes damage, you can collect from the fetus. My timer, gufahu. The fetus is not considered someone else. It's considered part of the mother. It's one of the limbs of the mother.
Wow.
So this is Rabba's. Yeah. What they say in the abortion debate, they said, is the fetus its own, alive, not alive? So the Jewish mother said, it's considered a fetus until it graduates from medical school. Okay. It's machlekes, medical school or law school.
But they
It's
can use
machlekes.
this case in the case of pro-choice.
They'll say there's animals.
That is part of the mother. It's a limb of the mother. That's right.
But you're saying it just applies to
They're saying pro-life.
By the way,
but
it's not so simple. It's not so simple. There's actually, we're more lenient. The Daf Yomi is not a halacha share, but we're more lenient with the Jewish abortion than with the non-Jewish abortion. Because if you would ask the Noahide rabbis, they would have to be 100% strict that that's considered murder. And a Jewish rabbi would not have to be that strict. There's more room for leniency with that. Because in the Noahide laws, it's much more strict. What's considered each law is like 100%. There's no it's much stricter. More black.
So when these presidents of these universities go before the Congress, they say, what is genocide? They say it depends on the context. They being Jewish rabbi thinking, or they being Noahide thinking?
They'd be
that has not.
anti-Semites.
Yeah.
We learned earlier that it belongs to the woman, it belongs to the father. So like this week.
Right.
Until she gives birth and then it's her.
Right. That's a good point. That explains why Yaakov was considered the firstborn of Yitzchak, right? Because it says whoever goes into the womb first would be the first. Not the firstborn would be the Bechar, not the firstborn, but the older child.
First one in, that's one.
Right. Even though the first one out should be the Bechar. Yeah, the Bechar for the mother. But Bechar for the father works the other way because the first one in. So, okay, anyway. Tarnagoyla Shezika, what Rava said about a cow, that when a cow causes damage and the fetus is there, so the fetus is part of the damage, that's only by a cow. However, Tarnagoyla Shezika, if there's a chicken that causes damage, in a guy from Beitasa, you can't collect the damage from the eggs. My time up Pirsha Ba'al that's already separated. It's already separated. Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's a whole discussion in this exactly at what stages it's considered separated and not, But just because it's inside the mother, once it has a shell, it's for sure considered not part of the mother. You see, it's part of. Right? Amar Rava, I don't know if that's a proof. Amar Rava says, "Ain't shaman lepar b'fneatzmel vlad b'fneatzmel shaman levlad al gav para." Rava says that when you're evaluating what the damage is, you don't evaluate the pregnant cow, and then you evaluate the fetus separately. If you would do that, you're going to cause the perpetrator to pay more than he really owes. If someone cuts off a hand of a slave, you don't say, how much is the hand worth? Like, how much would he want for the hand or to have the hand or not? That's $1 million, right? It wouldn't be like that. The same thing as if someone damages a field. If an animal causes damage to a field, you don't evaluate how much those tomatoes cost in the store because he ate tomatoes. No, what you do is you look at the entire field. You say, how much is a field worth with that row of tomatoes there? How much is the field worth without that row of tomatoes, which is much less than what it would be in the store. So what we do is we're protecting the perpetrator here. We're causing that he has to pay not as much as he would have had to pay if we would evaluate everything as is. Amalei Ravacha Breda Rabba Ravashi Vidinahu. Ravacha Breda Rabba says to Ravashi, says, 1 second. If that's the halacha, lichush mazik, why are you being so kind to the perpetrator? If the halacha is that he has to pay it, so let him pay it. He says, Mishum Darmalei, Parama Ma'avrita Aziktach, Paramabita Shaminalach. He says him no. He says, I damaged a pregnant cow. I'm just going to pay you a pregnant cow. Which now pregnant cow with the fetus and pregnant cow without the fetus, which means non-pregnant. I'm just going to pay you the difference between pregnant or not pregnant, because that's what I caused damage. I didn't cause damage to a separate fetus. I caused damage to the mother cow. How much is it worth as it's pregnant? How much is it worth without? Which is a much lower payment. Shita para dechad vlad dechad. Let's say the cow belongs to one and the fetus belongs to another. So pitma lebal para. The extra fat that's there, that's not because of the fetus. That's because of the extra weight that the mother has. Nafchamai, but what about the space that makes it look bigger because of the fetus that's in there? Not the fetus itself, but just the fact that it's a little bit wider now, and that looks like there's more there. It looks like a more hefty animal. So whose payment does that belong to? Rav Papa Rav Acha Breder Avikam Rechalkin. It's a machlekes. Rav Papa says it belongs to the mother, and Rav Acha Breder Avikam says that they have to divide that between the fetus and the owner of the fetus and the owner. The Hilchas Rechalkin halacha is that you divide it. Okay, let's leave it over here.
The Jewish mother doesn't always say, "Do they change now? You're a fetus until you get smicha."
There's a funny joke also, we're talking about whether you're selling it for the meat or for farming, farmer versus butcher. So the Ali G is like a famous, Sacha Baron Cohen, he's a Jewish comedian, and he has these interviews with people where he pretends to be very dumb. And he goes to a farm and says, where are the lions? No, this is a farm. The farmer is like going out of his mind, he's getting so mad. Where are the giraffes? Like, do you know what a farm is? Yeah, it's a very bad zoo. Very fun.
What's the guy's name?
Ali G. That's like Sacha Baron Cohen.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's funny.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.